Welcome to the S.E.M podcast. Zach Hewlett, joined by Jack Bryce, and our guest today is Tobias Megner. Tobias, where are you calling in from today?
Still from Germany,
Okay, what part of Germany are you in?
a bit south of Frankfurt. It's the same city I've been born in, and yeah, lived there my whole life.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really nice. I
Yeah.
know where everything is.
That makes it easy, right?
Yeah, really handy.
Oh, good. Well, awesome. We're excited to have you and to catch up with you. Just to remind you the format, we're going to talk about pre-mission and anticipation to getting your call, and then when you learned you're going to Scotland, kind of your reaction there. Then we'll jump over and talk about life after the mission up till now, and just catch us up on what you've been up to, and then we'll go back through the mission. So you're
Okay.
you're up. Go ahead.
So pre-mission. Um, to be honest, it was never ever really a question for me. It was when I finished school. So okay, next stop would be going to missions. So I put in all my papers, and sometime later I received a letter, and I didn't. To be honest, I didn't do any big celebration or had the whole family over. I just took it out of the mailbox and went into my room and opened it and thought, well, okay, Scotland. Don't know much about that country, um, besides a couple of movies or so. But
Hmm.
yeah, I thought that's okay, great. Um, it might be a bit embarrassing, but I really had a terrible idea of what the Highlands might look like, and um, I, I don't know. For some reason, as I said, it's really embarrassing, but it feels like at least for the Highlands, I thought, well, they're a little not quite as developed. I don't know. For some reason, I had that crazy idea or notion. Um, I learned it otherwise than being there live.
You've been watching too much Braveheart or something.
I don't know exactly where that idea came from. As I said, it's just something I had in my head. Maybe I read an article about a I don't know, some public transportation of a bus running once a day throughout various towns. I don't know. As I said, I have no idea where it came from. It's just
I
I'm
still
I'm
get
highly embarrassed by it today.
I still get asked, like, do they have TV and phones and stuff? Yeah, yeah. Fully developed country.
Yeah, as I said,
So,
embarrassing.
timeline wise, when was it that you received your call, and about what time? I guess month and year did you enter the MTC?
I believe it was somewhere around June or July that I received the actual call, and then I was in the MTC on the 1st of September.
Okay.
And it was really nice because 7 out of my stake were in the at the time in the MTC as well. So that was quite unusual. But fun on the other side because, well, we could talk a lot of German and have fun there. And then it's just 2 weeks. At the beginning, I was really struggling because um, church English is quite a bit different from what we learned at school, and I
Mm.
never had a lot of touch points with church English. And so I struggled really hard at the beginning because there's some really weird words, and it took me quite some time to get used to it. But in the end, it worked out fine.
Oh, that's awesome. So September 04 to 06, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember you were in Aberdeen with us your last 6 weeks, if I remember right.
Yeah. Aberdeen was the last 6 weeks. Yeah.
So I had to timeline it a little bit because that was towards the end of my mission too. All right, catch us up on life since the mission. What have you been up to since you got home from Scotland?
To be honest, I started studying mechanical engineering and economics, but I don't know. I'm not smart enough for that kind of stuff. And then I tried something else, and it didn't work out. And so I went to a local company. Actually, it's a big international. Oh dear, what's the term? Anyway, it's a big company, so they operate worldwide, and they're in the food and beverage industry. And so I made then an apprenticeship, and it took 2.5 years. And so it's half time you're working, half time you're at school, and ended up in the purchasing department. But I wasn't overly satisfied with the situation as it was, and so I looked around and stumbled across a job with Family Search. I thought, well, that sounds really neat. So I applied there and had a great interview, and we felt all confident. And so ever since then, I worked for Family Search. And on the private side, I married about 1.5 years after I got back from my mission. No, sorry, almost 2 years after I got back from my mission. And my wife, she's from the same stake as I am, but never really met before. And well, yeah, we met each other, we liked each other, married, and today we have 2 daughters. They're 8 and 10. No, 8 and 11. Sorry. And we're thoroughly enjoying life.
Oh, that's awesome. Are they going back to school sometime soon, or are you guys in the midst of your summer holidays still?
We still have summer holidays for 2.5 more weeks, so they have a lot of fun being home. And again, I was not again, but I have the opportunity. I'm on annual leave, so for the last 2.5 weeks as well. So it's really nice to spend some more time with them. And we're out and about, going to the lake, swimming, and doing a lot. About 10 months ago, we moved into a new home, and so we're doing a lot of renovation and decoration and stuff to make it nice. It keeps us busy.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like it. All right. Well, take us back to the mission. You can start at the MTC if you like, and we'll go through areas you served in, companions you had, and then many other memories that come through. We'd love to hear it.
Okay. So as I mentioned before, I went to the MTC, and there were quite a few German folks there in Preston as well. And I mean, have you been to the Preston MTC or to the Pro MTC? Preston as well?
Yeah, we all went to Preston. Yep.
So it probably was the same schedule for you as it was for me, but I thought dinner at 5 or 5:30 it was terrible, because afterwards there's still a lot of classes, and by 9 I was really, really hungry again. And so I approached the mission president there and said, "Hey, can't we go down to the cafeteria? We're really hungry." And so he agreed. It was fine. And so the first evening, I think we were there 2 or 3, and then kind of word spread around. And after a few days, pretty much half of the missionaries being in the MTC at that time, they were all down in the cafeteria, and we're toasting some bread, and I don't know, just eating whatever was there already available.
Yeah.
And somebody thought it was they had this toasting machine where it kind of rolled through. The toast is rolling through and dropping on the bottom.
Yeah.
And somebody put his toast, because he thought it wasn't toasted well enough yet, so I put it in a second time, but then it burned, and it actually started the fire alarm.
Oh, man.
And besides that, everything was fine. And even though I had a lot of people from my stake with me at the MTC, I was the only one going up to Scotland. And so after 2 weeks in the MTC, I felt, well, okay, somehow I'll manage. I mean, English isn't too bad, is it? And I was sitting there in this train and riding up towards Scotland, and all I had was, you need to get off that. What was it? Which train station? Not Prince Regent, but the one
Waverley.
previous to that. Waverley. Yeah, there we. Thank you.
Mhm.
I was really nervous not missing that train station. And you know how you're supposed, as a missionary, start to talk to everybody, but I was somewhat scared, and then an elderly gentleman sat next to me, and he started talking to me, and I didn't understand anything he said. I had to ask him over and over again, and after a while he just gave up because I had no idea what he was talking about, and he just couldn't express himself in such a way that I was able to make sense of what he said. So up till today, I have no idea what he was talking about. And then finally, I arrived at the train station. I didn't miss it, so that was okay. That was good. And I get out of the train, and there was this huge mountain of a man, President Reens, and with his booming voice, "Hello, it's good to have you." And then there was a first of many, many president hugs he shared.
Mhm.
And yeah, then they took me to the mission home. I was sleeping in the mission home itself because I was the only one arriving.
Hmm.
Actually, I think a day later another elder arrived. I think he was reassigned from another mission. And then we obviously in the morning we had our walk up to Pratt's Hill with a personal dedicatory prayer. And then I went down. I met Elder Clausen, and he was my trainer, and we started up in Leith.
Mhm.
And our first apartment was our first flat. It was quite an experience. It was I think somebody told me it used to be a corner store or something, and they kind of refurbished it and made a flat out of it. And it had such a weird shape, and there was, from the kitchen to the bedroom, there was a narrow hallway, and just in a little gap in the hallway, it was tiled with a curtain in front of it. There was a shower. And I was used to some other standards for bathroom and shower and so forth. But lucky enough, we had I think a day later I found out we had a basement, and there was another bathroom. It was a bit nicer with a with a tap, and a bit more spacious, and I guess more private.
Not the hallway shower. Oh man.
No, that was something, quite something, and it wasn't in the nicest area, Leith, and we had the social the council housing, big apartment rising blocks close to our apartment. I think twice a car was burned down during the night, and so
Oh my gosh.
we didn't really hear anything about it, just saw the wreckage in the morning. So it was some getting used to, but anything else, it was okay. Let me think. Yeah. After Leith, let's skip ahead. I was there for 2 months, and then I went up to Thurso, and I met Elder Pullen, this beautifully ginger-haired man. And we had a lot of fun, and it was it was really cold up there. And I remember one night we were out, I don't know, it was 6 p.m. or something, and people were asking us, why are you still out? It's so late in the night. And it on top of all of that, it started hailing, and my ears were already frozen. And so every little hail drop, it drummed on my ear, and it hurt quite bad. And I don't know, but the flat was really nice, and we had a wonderful Christmas there. It's just a teeny branch, some great members, and they took us in and took care of us, and just a beautiful time. Unfortunately, it just lasted for 6 weeks, and then the area was closed. We just started to get a little teaching pool, but yeah, well, what can you do? Then I went down to Dundee, met Elder Meerhead, and we were together, I think, for 3 months. And apparently, I was missing Elder Pullen so bad, because then Elder Meerhead left and Elder Pullen came back. And so we had some more fun in Dundee. And I think our main transport there was just buses. It was really good city to get around with a bus, but then also we walked, I don't know, feels like we walked all over town several times over and over again. After done, actually, sorry, then I said bye to Elder Pullen and went down to Edinburgh again, to the office with Elder Jones, which was quite an experience, because the office elders, we had this big van to get around. So it was fun, and it was very nice to be closer to President Reeds, and get some more being able to spend some more time with him and his wife, and also with the Richards, the elder and sister Richards. And they were all just fantastic and very, very fine couple, both of them. Then I said goodbye to Elder Jones, stayed in the office, and Elder Archambault, I still don't know exactly how to pronounce it. He's from Canada, but obviously it's French. Archambault, sorry.
I think you're doing good. Archambault. Just say it fast. Then...
Yeah, it's French. It's a unique language. Yeah, and for some reason, I had Elder Pullen twice, and so after the office, for some reason, the Lord thought, well, let's keep him in Edinburgh, and so I got back into my first area, Leith again, and had Elder Coons as my companion. And then he left, and I stayed in Leith. I thought it would be the other way around, but I don't know. So I stayed another term in Leith and met Elder Gregerson. And it was an experience, because that was the first time I was in a training position. So having a fresh missionary there was a nice experience.
So you trained where you were trained.
Exactly. Yeah. So everything comes back to the beginning. But this time around, actually, I thought I forgot about it. Before I got into Leith again, there was, I think somebody in the area presidency said, well, the missionaries should be staying in nicer areas. And so we switched apartment, and this time it was a fantastic, beautiful apartment, top floor, really nice view of the city, and quite spacious. Yeah, it was it was a really big change, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Anywho,
that was going to be one of my questions: is if you were in the same flat, your corner store. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, other missionaries had fun there, I guess, and then we were able to be finally in a nice apartment in Leith. And from Leith, I went to Irvine with Ella Wilkie, this time as a zone leader, and that was the only time I ever was able to be on an island, because in Irvine you have this small island. Was it called Ayr or Aaron? I don't know, something like that. I would have to check a map again. And it's just a short ferry ride over there. And so on one preparation day, we went there and hiked up the mountain and enjoyed the view and scenery. It was beautiful. Actually, I think the whole district was along, but something about that. And then Elder Wilkie left me. I think he went home then, and Elder McConkie joined me. And I thought, well, that's it. I'll stay in Irvine for the last 6 weeks as well. But I was called up to Aberdeen, and the last 6 weeks I spent there with Elder Lucas, another English fellow. And it was, I think, the most interesting experience, at least for me, obviously, with me being there for the last 6 weeks, him being there for the first 6 weeks. And I believe he struggled at the beginning quite a bit. So he felt really homesick and didn't really know whether it was the right call for him to be on a mission. But he pulled through. And one of the learning experiences for me is, when you're out of the MTC and you go into the mission, you have all those great ideas and how many people you want to baptize, and everything will be wonderful and great, and let's try all the different approaches and things. And even though he was somewhat homesick, he really felt like we need to do something different, because the way we've been doing it felt like it could be more effective, or we should be teaching more people. And yeah, but to be honest, nothing really changed that much for the time when I was being there. But afterwards, I learned that Elder Lucas, along with some other missionaries, they started up kind of a missionary band. I don't know, they put together some musical pieces, and so they went from ward to ward, and they made musical and spiritual presentations. And apparently it was, from what I heard, it was really a great successful thing. And so that's what I was actually hinting at, that even though you think you have seen everything after 2 years, there are still new things, and you can always learn from anybody. And so in a way, it was a really humbling experience. And maybe one more experience, that takes me right back to the very beginning. So Elder Clausen took me out on Prince's Street. That's a high shopping road in Edinburgh. It's a main road.
Mhm.
And back then there were still cars going along the road. So today it's just public transportation, but back then it was a really busy, loud road. Somewhat medium-sized sidewalk, and then you have the shops, and just loud and noisy. And and so Elder Clausen asked me to, well, let's go GQing, let's have some fun. And if you know me, then particular back then, I was excessively shy. So it was the most terrifying thing for me to be out on the road, talking to strangers, talking to them in English, and having them talk to me back in Scottish. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. I felt so terrible doing it. I didn't understand anything they were telling me, when they were talking back to me. And I was really struggling bad with English. So I had a hard time even talking in English and thinking of the right words to use. And then on top of all of that, you have the church English. And I felt so extremely overwhelmed that at that evening, I just went on my knees and I said, Heavenly Father, I have no idea how I am able to do that. And actually, it worried me so bad that I even got sick. So after, I don't know, half an hour or so, I felt really nauseous and terrible. So I guess a small anxiety attack or something like that. And so I said to Elder Clausen, there's no way I have to let's please just go back to the apartment. I can't do that. And again, so this evening I went down on my knees and said, Heavenly Father, if that's what my mission is going to be the next 2 years, there's no way anything's going to, then I might just go home, because it doesn't make really sense for me to stay here. I'm just terrified. I am literally terrified to talk to people. And I went to bed, got up the next morning. Elder Clausen took me out again, and I was really still struggling bad with the language. And it took me about 3 months to get used to it. But this overwhelming fear was just gone, and I was able to work, to do what I was called there to be. Even though it took, again, as I said, it took me a lot of time to study English and to become better, more fluent with it. So thinking back, yeah, probably a bit similar to what Ella Lucas felt at the beginning of his mission, even though he was fine with English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely. Well, yeah, those are all great experiences, and I've always been curious to know, because obviously Jack and I have talked about the very small but extreme language barrier of coming from speaking American English to learning Scottish English. And I can only imagine that it was all the more challenging for you coming from a country that you spoke a completely different language. And you said you had some English training in advance of the mission, but there was no preparation for listening to the speed at which the Scots spoke and all those different variables that the only way you could get used to it was over time and with a lot of experience. So I'm sure that was very challenging for you.
It was a great learning opportunity in the end.
Yeah.
And I
Very
still
much
haven't
so.
mastered German yet, so I'm not very talented with languages.
Hey, you're doing better than most. I would assure you that. We talked to Elder Poland just a few days ago, and he relayed a story that we'd like to hear your side of things. He said that when you closed the area, you had your Corsa that was filled to the brim with all items, including your luggage. And he said that he hit a patch of ice early in the morning and slid through a roundabout. Do you recall that memory?
No, sorry, I can't remember that. But apparently, it wasn't that scary.
It definitely left an impression on Elder Poland. So
Yeah, he was
just
driving.
curious.
Maybe I was asleep. I don't know.
Maybe that's a very good likelihood.
Oh, I remember. I remember at least we were planning the car trip, and at the beginning it was said we were supposed to bring the car down to Edinburgh. So I looked on the map and I thought, well, fantastic! Look at here, Loch Ness. It's pretty much with a minor deviation. We can drive by that lake, by that famous lake, and yeah. But in the end, I think we dropped it in Aberdeen, and so we were never able to see Loch Ness. I haven't seen it until today, so still on my to-do list.
Definitely worth going back for.
I had to go back to get that one too.
Yeah.
I never made it up there during the mission.
Yes. I had the opportunity to go a few times, and I'm glad I did, because it was a really unique experience. I love Loch Ness, so highly recommend it, Tobias. You got to go back.
I will someday.
So you shared your memory of a good President Vrain's hug. Do you have any other memories of President and Sister Vrain's when you think of them off the top of your head?
Well, Sister Vrain's, the two things. One would be the salad she always made. I don't know. I think she always added some. What's that fruit called? You have those tiny little red thingies.
Strawberries?
No.
Tiny red.
It's one
things.
bigger fruit, and then you have those tiny
pomegranate.
There you go. What was it?
Pomegranate.
Yeah, pomegranate, exactly. I think she always added some of those in the salad and some walnuts, and I always enjoyed the salads. And then I don't know, she doesn't like it too much, but Miss Piggy was always fantastic during zone conferences. Yeah, then just similar to, she's also quite a tall woman as President Reens. I mean, he's towering above everybody anyways. But yeah, great people, very, very kind and loving and friendly. And 4 years ago, I happened to be in Salt Lake on a business trip, and after a little research, I was able to find a phone number of them, and I called them up, and they still remembered me, and I was able to visit with them, and it was just great seeing them again. Obviously, unfortunately, President Reens isn't in the best health anymore, but yeah, they took me around, showed me a little bit the sights, and fed me again, same salad. That was great.
That's too funny.
For the last 3 months, I think the Reenses went home, and then there was Fredericksons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never really had much to do with them. Actually, it's just the one transfer in between, and then obviously for the farewell, I never really got to know them really well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
How was your experience on your exit interview with President Frederickson? Because we had one, we talked to Dan Conway, and his was like 2 weeks after the Reins left, and he said it was just very, very different than what he ever imagined.
Yeah, probably the same applies to me, to be honest. I would have to check my journal. Can't really remember it. I think we just talked a little bit about what happened. What's more in my memory is actually the last evening, up on Pratt's Hill again to give the final report to the Lord in the evening and in September it was already dark at the time, and so the city around, all the lights are kind of sparkling. And at this time it was Sister Webb and Kenny, I believe it was. They were leaving at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, we were up there on the mountain, and I was able to give the report to the Lord, and in some way it really helped me to have that special occasion of a very, very defined start of the proselyting mission and a very, very defined finish of the proselyting mission. So this was more of a closing for me for this mission time as a full-time missionary than the final interview with my stake president. And I knew I had given it my very best, and I hoped I made a lot. I had some influence and made some differences in the lives of the people I met. In most cases, I have no idea. I'm somewhat excited for the for the next life, and actually maybe seeing the bigger picture, and meeting some people again, and just learn from the Lord why I was there in particular, and maybe just see the bigger picture, as I said, and learn more. But as I said, it's just fantastic. I think it's such a unique thing. I haven't heard of any other mission in worldwide that has anything similar, with that particular starting, dedication, and closing period for the mission. It's a very unique thing.
Yeah, it's a really cool tradition that we got to partake in.
I don't know if they're still doing it today.
I'm sure they are.
I would imagine so. From what I understand, it's still the mission home's still on Spylaw Road,
Yeah.
even though they encompass Scotland and I think a portion of Ireland. It's not the entirety of Ireland, but um, yeah, I can't imagine it would have changed. I haven't heard any different.
Yeah.
It's a 200-year-old tradition. You can't just change it. It's
Mhm.
called Pratt's Hill for a reason.
Yeah.
Not King Arthur's Seat. It's Pratt's Hill. So, are there any I guess experiences you had in your mission that you really felt like set a foundation for you going forward after the mission, or things that particularly you reflect on, testimony, growth, or foundational to where you're at now?
One thing amongst many things I learned was no matter your life circumstances, you always can find joy in the gospel, and you can also spread it. And there's a very unique um, kind of joy of being fully involved or strongly involved with the gospel, and the effect it has on my life. I guess what I want to say is, if you're there are a lot of people out there who are really enjoying their life and having fun, and they're good people, but there is a particular sense of deep felt gratitude and joy that only comes from the gospel. It can't be found anywhere else. And unfortunately, I have this situation that I've seen it go away. So I have 2 brothers and 3 cousins, and they're all obviously my brothers from my parents, and then um, as I said, the other cousins who are actually all living really close by, and all 5 of them are no more with the church. They've turned away from the church and they've gone their own way, and they're great people. I love them and have a lot of fun with them, but there is something missing in their life. And because they haven't felt this for such a long time, they're not really missing it themselves, at least not actively missing it. There might subconsciously be something, but it's just gone. There's some, as I say, the light of the gospel, so to say, it's just gone from their lives, and it changed them. They're still the same people, but it changed them. And it's really unfortunate because, they're missing out on a lot. And then again, best counsel for anybody who is looking to marry: find a companion that is strongly founded in the gospel, her or himself, because it really helps, to uplift each other and move forward in the gospel and experience that joy and beauty together. Yeah. So that's one of the big lessons. Another one, again, maybe a more humbling thing. I was I don't know, proud, I guess, thinking, well, we use the metric system. It's so much better than the imperial system. And I believe I gave Elder Clausen because of that a hard time at some times. And I'm to today, I regret that, but with time, I grew up or became more experienced or more relaxed. So I realized, yeah, it's whatever you grow up with and whatever you're used to, that's fine. It's just, as long as it works out for you, that's no reason to be proud about using another system. And even though we might use the metric system, we're still using the same clock, and it doesn't make any sense. We have 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 12 or 24 hours, and then all sorts of days in a month and 12 months, and there's no consistency in the numbers. And as I said, it's just me being young, unexperienced, proud. And today I see it a bit more different, and I think let everybody have their fun. And it helped me a little bit also during the past 2 years. If with the whole pandemic thing, I don't want to really get into that topic, but even within our ward, there was a huge variety of people, how they dealt with it. And we had some ridiculous rules here in Germany, and some really kept close to them, even tried to be better than the rules and there was a lot of contention for a while in our ward because of the way how it was handled, and people being really unhappy with either decision our stake president and our bishop made according to the local laws and regulations. And it caused a lot of contention, and it was a bit sad because however, and somebody wants to do it, let's just do it. And if you can't do anything right about it, but I mean, if you can't change the law, right? But you need to abide by it, and then just do it, and don't get so upset about it. Save your energy for something else that's more worth it. Put it into your family, or go out to some sport, and don't get so upset with a situation you really can't change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. That was a bit off track.
No, I liked how you related that to, your experience in the mission, and talking specifically about coming in and feeling as if you were better than someone else based upon your own upbringing versus another. And that's okay. I mean, that's part of our learning process that we all went through as we went on our missions. It was a great time period to grow up and figure out what was truly important. Well, are there any other missionaries that you can recall or think of besides your companions that you'd like to see on future episodes, that you'd like to call out, shout out, any of those today?
Besides my companion? The Lemons. I think it would be fantastic to hear from them.
I agree.
Anybody else? I would have to look at the list. If I thought you would ask that question, but the only missionary I thought of in particular would have been Elder Lucas, because, well, I've actually been able to meet him. One of the very few I've met since my mission. But I think he has some really unique stories to tell as well. And
we're actually we're talking to him on Sunday, so we're looking forward to that.
Great. I mean, every missionary has very unique experiences and stories to tell, and sorry. I mean, it feels like everybody I'm mentioning you said you already have scheduled, and since I'm not allowed to mention any companions,
You can shout out your companions again if you want.
Yeah,
all
for
of
sure.
them, all of them.
All of them. That's what I said too. All of them.
Yeah, it's a nice time to just reminisce. No, not what reminisce. That's the right term.
That's good. Yeah.
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 Just think about what happened. And still, I have this little. We all had this little card at the end where all our areas and companions are mentioned on it. And there's one area apparently I was planned to be transferred to. I just don't know what it says there. I'm a bit upset. It would have been nice if they just scrambled it a little bit, not so badly. I'm still curious what area that would have been.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the picture is so terrible of me. I was so young.
Just when you were young, that's right.
I was a small kid.
I don't remember getting that card off the wall.
You didn't?
It may be somewhere in my stuff, but I don't recall getting that.
The only thing I have left from a mission is here in this small box. At the beginning I had this whole thing with the purple dragon and the audio cassettes and all that kind of stuff, and all throughout my mission I dragged it with me, and then I don't know, about 5 years or so I pretty much threw away most of the stuff and just kept at least what I felt would be the most important things. So I have all the daily planners still with me, my journal, and a few more things, and actually 2 maps. I don't know, maybe it was destiny, because both maps, one is a fold out and another one is a book. They're just of Edinburgh. And I spent a whole year of my mission just in Edinburgh. And curious enough, I received those maps from a friend and his parents who are not members of the church. They're just good friend from my time at school. And when they learned I was going to Scotland, I don't know, they thought it was a good idea to give me a map of Edinburgh. So they had been very inspired, because I used a whole year, also half of my mission, I used those 2 maps.
That's pretty
And
incredible.
I believe, let me see, the last thing. Yeah. Here's the trapping record from Thurso.
Oh my word. That's like a relic.
It is. I have no idea who else wrote in it. Or maybe another thing that just came to my mind, sorry. In Aberdeen, the last area, there was one sister, every week she invited all missionaries serving in Aberdeen. I don't remember. I can't remember her last name. But 10 years earlier, my aunt served in Scotland as well, and she was in Aberdeen as well. And so Anne, she had a little guest book for all the missionaries she ever fed in her apartment. And I found the entry my aunt wrote 10 years earlier. And it was fun because she always uses a particular set of smileys, and they were right there with her things she wrote. And so I actually took a picture of the entry and emailed it to her, and she was really excited to see that again.
That's cool.
Yeah, what a coincidence. That's amazing.
Yeah. So nothing gets lost. Everything is written on books, either here or up in heaven.
That's right.
Well, I'm just going to share my experience with you, Tobias, because you were the zone leaders with Poland and Dundee when I was in Montrose, I'm pretty sure. And everything about you just spoke of President Vrain's mantra of quiet dignity, where he just, again, it may have just been your personality, um, being a little bit more the secondary. I mean, obviously, let's be honest. Elder Poland is such an outgoing, fun-loving person that it can be easy to get lost in his shadow. But I always enjoyed being around you. And then when because I moved to Aberdeen when Elder Lucas was trained by Elder Harlow, and then you replaced Elder Harlow. And when you got there, I was excited to have you because I knew the caliber of missionary you were, and even though it was your last transfer, you still worked so very hard and were reliable and someone that I could always, just ask questions of and kind of glean on your experience. And so I've always admired you for just being the quiet dignity personification that that I've always thought of. So, and we had some good times in Aberdeen. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was great. Thank you also for your kind words.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, I wish I probably need to read my journal again, because otherwise, at least I'm really grateful that I actually kept. I wasn't able to write every day, but I think every third day I made an entry, because otherwise I would have pretty much forgotten most of it. And yeah, good thing.
Well, you did a good job recalling your companions and all the areas you were in.
Yeah, the
you had
little
quite a
card
few,
helped.
so
Cheated.
that does help. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah, I don't remember mine being given to me. Maybe you stole it off the wall or something when President Frederickson wasn't looking.
I think it was officially handed to me, but
Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I have that somewhere too. Well, Tobias, we really appreciate you making some time to come on and chat with us. I know that there are quite a few missionaries and your companions that will be very happy to hear from you, and vice versa. There, like I said, Elder Poland, we are talking to Elder Lucas and Elder McConkey in the future, but the rest of them, feel free to share this with them and as an invitation for them to come on and talk about their experience, because we'd love to hear from them as well. And we'll do the best we can to get in touch with the Lemons. That would be a great conversation, I'm sure.
yeah. I believe they're still using Facebook, but I'm not too. I don't know. I hardly use it myself, but I think I saw something. They posted something sometime not too far ago, not too long ago. There you go. It's getting late.
Well, again, we appreciate you staying up late for us, and I'm impressed that you've kept your English up. Do you still use it quite a bit in work and life?
Yeah, that's one advantage with working with Family Search is a lot of the colleagues are sitting somewhere in the US, most in Salt Lake, and yeah, so I'm forced to use English. And my younger daughter, she's learning it in school now as well, and it's fun to see her starting to speak English, and she does a whole lot better than I did. So I'm going to send her, I don't know, probably for a student exchange somewhere in an English-speaking country, maybe Scotland.
As you know, that's not really an English-speaking country.
Oh, it very much is.
Her English will be tainted.
Well, there's another witty experience that just comes to my mind. So after a while, after I got used to speaking English, I remember being again tired, and I had some people around. They were talking obviously Scottish, and for some reason I thought, why on earth is everybody speaking Swiss German here? So as I said, I don't know exactly what happened in my brain at that point, at that time, but it sounded a bit like when a Scot is speaking English, it sounds, at least for my tired brain, it sounded somewhat similar to when a Swiss person is speaking High German. I don't know. It's just a random thing that popped into my mind at that time.
You were hallucinating.
Yeah. Or maybe here's another elder. What was it? Octavio, the fella from Italy.
Yeah, the Tavio. Mm-hmm.
Octavio, yeah.
We've reached out to him and have yet to hear back. So, El Tavio, check your messages. We'd love to hear from you. All right.
Well, thank you so much for the time you've taken to meet with me.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure, and we really appreciate you making time for us. And like I said, it's always good to reconnect. And Jack and I have been part of quite a few of these conversations already, and it's just unbelievable to hear memories and thoughts and things that, as we're all very intertwined in the mission. So we appreciate you taking time, and it was really good to see you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, Tobias. We love you. Good night.
Enjoy yourselves. Have fun
as well.
editing it.
That's right. Piece of cake.
Yeah, you're
Talk to you
experienced
soon.
by now.
That's right.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks. See ya.